Right, cool. We should be live now. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go grab a tissue. Back inside.
Do it. Well, if Tim hasn't lied to me, and we are in fact live, hi, happy November. Hope you had a great Halloween, spooky season time. As you can see, we're now in the Christmas spirit for video watchers. Got a Christmas jumper on. So that's where we're at. So just give us a few minutes to get set up and we will get started. It's been quite a busy week though, has it not? For all platforms. I feel like there's been quite a lot of news this week. So we'll have to see whether it's the new Game Pass editions, it's the news about Eidos Montreal and Fable, whether it's God of War. Wow. There have been things.
Things have definitely happened this week. God of War tanks.
Yeah.
5 out of 10.
And you know what? So, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Us, the totally neutral and non-biased website who have not played the game, give the preliminary score of 3 out of 10 to God of War Ragnarok.
We do. However, 10 out of 10 if it was on Games Pass. Like we said, not biased.
Yeah, right. Not biased. Yeah, that's just a very fair and objective review.
Yeah. Don't fucking come at me.
Especially not with any pipe bombs or anything really explosive or inflammatory.
I wouldn't know how to make a pipe bomb.
Me neither.
I'm pretty sure if
I guess
sat
just
down
like
for a weekend,
gunpowder,
I could figure out how to make a pipe bomb.
I think we're on track to getting this video taken down.
I don't know, mate. No, it's the first.
Yo, let me see your cup.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Tilly has the same ones. Yeah, this one's.
It's Amsterdam.
This one's London. Yeah, she has an Amsterdam one in the cupboard as well.
Yeah, let's go.
Dude, I've got tea in it though, not coffee, unfortunately.
No, same. I've already had my coffee for this morning.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I had a monster this morning. So
you had a monster in the morning.
Yeah, well, it was
a
like a new flavor. We wanted to try it, and we got up really late anyway, so it was kind of like we started drinking it at like 11. So,
yeah, fair enough.
And plus, we're going to go out for a Costa because Costa have their new like Christmas menu at the moment. So I want to try their they have like a. Well, I don't know. I think they have like a Toblerone like latte or something, and then they've got like chocolate orange hot chocolates and stuff, which I've heard are pretty good. So you'll hear about it next week.
Yeah,
just make sure you tune in to the QRP next week to hear.
yeah. For our non-American listeners, Costa is obviously a coffee shop.
Yes.
It's a bit of a mixed reputation amongst coffee snobs like myself.
Costa not global. Costa's only UK.
I think so. I think it's probably in Europe, but
okay, yeah, true, yeah, it's definitely Europe, yeah, 100%. Yeah, Starbucks is obviously.
I know,
global, but...
yeah, and Nero will be Europe because it's Italian, Nero.
Yeah.
But yeah, coffee. Always have a coffee segment.
We do.
So, shall we do the thing?
Yeah.
Do the jing.
Yeah.
And get started. Okay. So great. Hello, everyone. If you're joining us live, hi. If you're joining us after the fact on your podcast services, on YouTube, we are the Quick Resume podcast if you have not been here before. My name is Deg, and that hunky fella over there.
I'm hunky. This weekend I'm hunky. It's me, Tim.
It changes week to week. He's the hunky one of the group. And this is episode 76. So thanks for joining. Lots to talk about, as I said in sort of the pre-show today. There's a lot to think about, particularly around Xbox's 2023, the second half of 2022, the PlayStation as well, and we're going to do our absolute best to keep away from console war bollocks. I'm not into it. Not here for that. I hereby pledge to stay away from the Icky Wiki
To not reveal
console warrior.
my toxic trait of being an Xbox
Yeah.
console warrior.
That's right, yeah. Yeah. I will do my best to mask the truth.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, right, okay. So I had like this whole section planned out, but before we get into our usual like kind of what we've been playing and what we've been up to, but I just kind of wanted to rant about Hangnails for a little bit first.
I mean, everyone knows they're the worst, dude. You don't need a rant. Hangnails are some of the most excruciating, prolonged pain. They last like sometimes weeks.
I know.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's just such a weird bug to me. Like if we truly were created, right? If we were built by intelligent design, like why would we be given thumbnails? Do you know what I mean? And you can't convince me that's part of evolution. Like I won't take it. Oh, we evolved to have hangnails because shut the fuck up. No, we didn't. That's a bug. That is not a feature. Yeah. They hurt so much. Why?
I don't know, man. It's just, and it's like the worst as well because I do bite my nails sometimes, and like when you do, like sort of bite them or even cut them, and you just peel away, and you know it's happened, and you're like, for fuck's sake, like I have to commit now, but like. I've gone too far here. Like, it hasn't come off clean. This is awful. Yeah, I hate it.
You like catch it on shit. You like catch it on fabric and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the worst. Yeah, and it always has like little fluff on it. You have to like pick off like the fluff because it's caught on like fabric and stuff. It's the worst, dude.
Truly horrendous. I mean, if you can't tell, I've had a thing now for like the last 2 days, so that's where we're at. Someone should make a game about hangnails. But other than that, Tim, how have things been, buddy? How's the brain and the game brain?
The brain is deteriorating quite rapidly. The game brain is thriving, my dude. No, that's probably also...
And that's the important thing. That's all that matters.
Like, ranked Overwatch is probably deteriorating my game brain as well, let's be real.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, no, it hasn't been... it hasn't been going too bad. Nothing really much to report on this week. In terms of regular brain and or game brain, to be honest. We've kind of just been still slapping the Overwatch grind a little bit. I've been meaning to get onto Gunfire Reborn, but I haven't had the time. And that's been about it, to be honest. We did spice it up and not do open queue ranked for Overwatch. We did some. That's us spicing it up. We did some roll queue,
that's right.
which was
we like to mix things up. Yeah,
it's nice to not shoot 3 tanks and 2 healers consistently.
True.
And yeah, I think that's about it, to be honest. Nothing much extra on the game brain for me. What about you?
Nothing wrong with that. We did obviously have the we had the new hero reveal, didn't we?
Oh
for
Overwatch. For the stance switcher. Overwatch's first stance
switcher. Which is a cool idea. Although I did see that somebody had made like a concept art for a tank 4 years ago, and the design is questionably similar. Like a fan art. I'll have to try and send it to you. They called him back when the artist made it. I don't have the name on me, which is really annoying, but I'm pretty sure they called the hero Voltic or something like that. But the same thing is like an Omnic, like big and with 2 extra arms. Because it's Ramatra, isn't it? That's the new hero.
Yeah.
And he's got 2 normal Omnic arms, and then he's got 2 massive like arms on the back of him.
Well, this one doesn't have 4 arms, does he? He's just got 2.
Right, he's got 2 because he's got like Zenyatta size normal Omnic arms, and then he's got 2 big arms. So like you typically you don't see smaller ones. So he's got 4.
But are the big arms? I guess the big arms are only on show when he switches to that other stance. When he's in like regular stance, he's just got skinny arms, and then his arms changed. I just thought his arms changed. I didn't think he had 4. I just thought they changed. That's all. But
I've only seen a screenshot of him because there's a screenshot of him in game. Is that right? Or like a small clip of him or something? I saw an in-game shot of him. Yeah, I saw a small screenshot. I don't know where it came from, but yeah. So that's funny. Yeah, still playing a lot of Overwatch 2. It's still good. The Halloween event sucked. No new news there. I've been playing a little bit more of Gunfire Reborn. I still think that game is really good. I got it as my podcast game really that I just play when I'm monging out and listening to some other podcasts, and I just want something easy to play.
Which is kind of perfect because I feel like you used to do that with Risk of Rain as well, didn't you? Those games just make really good podcast games because you just run around and shoot, right? There's not
shooty. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh man, and I had a god run, like I had a freak run. Like I shouldn't be getting as far as I did because, you get points as you play, like in a roguelike style. And I think there's 5 or 6 biomes total. Yeah. And obviously, if you get to the last one, it's you completed the loop. And I got to the end of the 4th, and I had this because the second character you unlock is essentially like a Gunzerker from Borderlands 2, where you dual wield.
Okay.
And I just had this fire and explosion build going. I would and I got this perk where if you did fire damage, you set yourself on fire. But if you were on fire, you did a bonus 25% flat damage overall. So one of those sorts of builds.
Yeah.
And then I got another perk at the end, which was fire. It was called Fire Demon or something like that, which just straight up buffed fire damage. And made me immune to burning. And I was like, oh my God. So I'd be cooking, but it just wouldn't hurt me.
Oh,
and it'd be so good. Yeah, just and it was such a freak run. It was crazy. I was just exploding everything. And they've got this really cool thing in the game where there's a challenge system. It's not, I don't know how transparent it is, but just in the middle of a run, it will be you've killed 30 elites. You've now unlocked this gun or this weapon, and it's permanently in your runs now. There's almost after every run, there's something new for the next run, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's melee weapons, bows, guns, stuff like that. Just really good. I totally recommend it. It's so smooth. Like I said, it's on the FPS counter, it's running at 180 frames, even though my TV can't even hack that. But it's just, it's just very, very good.
It does look cool. Have you actually completed a loop on it yet? Have you done?
No,
you haven't. Okay.
No. And I also booted up Forza Horizon 5 for the first time in a while. Just played it for half an hour. Just kind of fancied it. I don't know. Yeah, just wanted to drive around it. Yeah, looking really pretty. Did a couple of races. And it's quite cool because when they start a new season there, you have an intro mission. Do you know what I mean? You literally load the game up and it boots you into a cinematic level. And then it does that thing where it's a cutscene that fades into the game, and the car's already driving and you take over control. And typically, when I want to boot up Forza, I don't want to do that. I just kind of want to do the thing. But I was just in the mood for that last night, and I faded in, and it went in with who's the artist? Oh, I can't remember who it is. It's one of the guys that we used to listen. I think it was Sub-Zero. Yeah, I think it was Sub-Zero. Is that his name? Subfocus.
I was like, Sub-Zero? Fucking Sub-Zero's banging out some... He's got a Spotify channel now, is it?
Subfocus, that's right. And a Subfocus tune came on, and I was just banging it down the desert at 200 miles an hour. I was like, this game is so good. This is great. Cool. And I did that, and I got my... I think I did another 1 or 2 races afterwards and kind of got my fix. But yeah, I just kind of fancied it. But yeah, what a game. What a game.
I'm surprised that hasn't been one of your big podcast games that you just boot up and play with that sort of thing. Yeah. Definitely suits that sort of style.
Yeah, I always do fancy it. Yeah, I've had it. It's why I've never uninstalled it, because I'm it is a good one. But sometimes I just kind of want to shooty. Yeah, that's been me really. Other than that, I'm just kind of sitting here anticipating, waiting for Pentiment, waiting for Somerville. And this is all on. We'll talk about this because the Game Pass lineup was released this week. Vampire Survivors. I don't know if you've heard about that. Everyone is raving about that game.
Never heard of it.
Everyone is raving about Vampire Survivors.
Sounds dreadful.
It's been available on... Yes, doesn't it? And do you know what? It looks dreadful, but everybody's like, this is a Game of the Year contender. For real.
Wow.
No cap.
So came out on Steam first, I assume. It's a Steam game.
Yeah, yeah. Have a quick Google of it. Have a quick Google of it, just so you know what I mean.
So
Because
I need to turn on
I'm
my
just
light.
going.
It's so dark.
Yeah, you're a bit dark. Yeah. I like I. The only reason I'm like excited for Vampire Survivors is because everyone has told me it's so good. But every time I look at the gameplay, I'm like, what is this? It's like bad pixel art, like
Yeah. Oh, weird.
like isometric kind of camera angle sort of thing. But it's
Oh.
to my
No, this looks
it's kind of
awesome. I love this
roguelite.
art style.
It's fine for me. I do like pixel art, but like at a glance, it's not doing that much for me. But apparently the gameplay is like hyper addictive. It's like one of those games that's like, drip feed dopamine.
Single player, another roguelite. Okay, casual shoot 'em up. Oh, awesome. Yeah. What is this game giving me vibes of? I guess it's giving me kind of Binding of Isaac vibes, right?
Oh yeah, never played that.
Yeah, that's the sort of vibe it's giving me. That was like one of the OG like roguelites, wasn't it? Binding of Isaac. I feel like that was one of the ones that kind of kickstarted a lot of the hype for those types of games. It's been out for ages.
Yes, you are right. You are right.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
so that comes out on the 10th. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, that'll be another like podcast game. Probably a good cloud game. Things like that.
True. Yeah.
So yeah, just waiting on those things. Maybe we'll get a Dark Tide release date soon for Xbox. Who knows? Will that be this year? Won't it? Who knows?
Who knows, dude?
So yeah, that's it though. Really, in terms of what we've been playing.
Sweet.
So I guess I wanted to kick the show off. I've got a couple of honourable mentions I want to go through before we get into the main news, as per usual. But you won't be surprised to hear that the first one is about God of War Ragnarok, which is currently sitting on a 94. Last time I checked, anyway, 94 on OpenCritic. Obviously, it's a Game of the Year contender. It's matched. Matched the first game. First game obviously got 94 on OpenCritic. I think the numbers are the same on Metacritic, but I prefer Open. And just an incredible accomplishment from that team. And I've got a little chunk of text I just want to read through here that I wrote in advance, because the couple of honorable mentions I've got after this are kind of like negative stories about PlayStation. But I just want to reiterate that the this whole thing with big blockbuster games getting this critical success is kind of what gaming is all about, right? Years of hype building up and those kind of electric hours of kind of and it delivers those kind of electric hours of stillness just before the big title drops, or like before the reviews drop. Whether it's a cinematic title, it's an open world game, it's a FMV, full motion video, multiplayer game, we're all kind of here for memorable experiences. And it's just I personally love the first. I'll likely love the second when I get around to it. It probably won't be for a couple of years for me. But it's just a massive congrats to Sony and the Santa Monica team. It's an absurd amount of talent to make two games of this quality back to back in a 4 years from each other, which is a reboot of a hack and slash franchise.
It's mental, isn't it? Yeah.
Absurd.
Yeah.
Really absurd. So just, I'm really excited that for everyone who's been anticipating this. And, I think it's always good. Like when these big things happen, it gets more eyes on the industry. It likely draws in more investment. So it's a win for everyone around, regardless of the platform you play on. But super exciting stuff. That's just amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, mad congrats to them. Yeah, they've done a great job from what was seemingly, like you said, like a hack and slash kind of pretty much dead kind of IP, right? Like they were kind of done with that, and then they were just like, hey, let's completely,
it was on the decline.
Yeah, let's completely 180 this shit and just like really dive into the story and make it gritty. And yeah, no, it's amazing what they've done with it. And yeah, I'm very excited to get my hands on it as well. Probably not. I'll probably play it a bit before you, I would imagine, but it's still going to be a little while off for me because I still need to play the first one. But yeah, awesome.
And I would totally recommend it. I would totally recommend the first one. I am and you know, this is kind of like there are some more conversations that I want to there are more conversations around this I want to have a bit later in the main stories, but you know, talking about this level of critical reception, and you know, will Xbox get to that level with some of its titles? Because I think, you know, there's for some reason the exclusion criteria for Xbox is really big when it comes to these sorts of titles. You know, Forza doesn't count because it's a racing game. Flight Sim doesn't count because it's like a
It gets
experimental
narrower,
flight
doesn't
simulator
it?
game. Yeah, it's like, you know, there are these exclusion criteria, which I do think is unfair, but I understand the point is that, you know, Sony are essentially really good at making hyper popular, mass appeal, you know, action adventure narrative games. You know, it's usually the thing that I think that people of these days think of when they think of video game, even if they're not a gamer.
Yeah.
When they see all the trailers, they think of like either first person shooter or third person action adventure narrative game.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
as a result, you know, the zeitgeist around these sorts of games is huge. Like, you know, like kind of like Elden Ring, you know, that's I think falls into that at least to a degree. You know, Souls games are niche, quote unquote, but
What? Niche.
typically someone will look at that from the outside and be like, oh, I would know how to play that. You know what I mean? So yeah, very exciting.
Definitely.
So we will come around to that because there's a lot. Yeah, there's been a lot of discourse this week, Tim, over on Twitter, over on the Musk Bird app, about Xbox's first party, from Phil himself, you know, from journalists and the rest. But before we get there, PlayStation VR 2 got a price announced and with a release date. I think we already knew I think we already knew the release date, but it got a price, which was £520 here. I think it was $499. So again, something releasing higher in pounds than dollars.
Fuck's sake! I know we're in massive decline right now, but come on, guys.
Yeah, well, just like the PlayStation, you know, I think like with the console, I think they just raised price of all accessories everywhere but North America. So
yeah,
which is the same price, well, more expensive than a console.
Yeah, it's pricey. It's extremely pricey. I'm not sure like what the sort of pricing is on like meta quests and stuff like that. Let me have a look. What's like the latest like meta quest? Is there a meta quest 3 now? Like the
I don't think so. I think there's a 2 coming out, I think.
MetaQuest Pro VR headset. Okay, well, there's a 2 VR at 128 gig. That's at 399 for the MetaQuest 2. But then there's a Pro that costs $1.5 grand. So I don't know what the fuck the Pro is, but it's like more than 3 times the MetaQuest 2. But yeah, it's expensive, right? It's definitely premium, especially when you compare it to others on the market. It's definitely a premium price tag, that's for sure.
I mean, there are more premium models. Like, I think it's either the current Quest or the Quest 2. Sorry, I'm not scrubbed up on VR lore, but I'm pretty sure there is one of them coming up, which is like primed to be, you know, more expensive, maybe, you know, 900 or 1,000, but it's like fully wireless.
Yeah.
And I think some of the conversations I saw going on were like, the PSVR only works with the PlayStation, and people buying PlayStations are buying, you know, arguably because, you know, they're buying consoles because they like the simplicity and the you know, arguably the cheaper cost of maintaining a console versus building a PC, etc., etc.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and so these high price tags are going to appeal to a niche for sure, but you know, is it going to? Presumably, they want it to outperform the first PSVR, which was like, you know, clearly it was good enough for them to make a second, but to my knowledge, it had a really low attach rate, and really it was just hoovered up by the niche. And I reckon this kind of cements it as the same thing, even though the tech is really impressive. Like I've seen the demos and stuff. Like the tech is really impressive. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you
some
think?
of those.
Like,
there were some of those games we were seeing when they show off, especially that Horizon one, just looked fantastic. So good, like graphically extremely impressive, and just like I was literally like, I want to play this, and I've never said that to a VR game before in my life, because I'm not a big fan of VR. I don't think we're both big fans of VR. I've done I've done my fair share on it as well. Like quite a few times, my old friend from work used to bring in his MetaQuest, and we used to play it at work on lunch breaks and stuff like that. So I've had my fair share of it, um, and I've still never really been hooked on it. But yeah, some of the software looks pretty damn impressive. But again, that was a wireless one, I think. I don't remember there being a wire when I used that, so I can imagine it being pretty annoying wired.
Yeah,
But
that's the thing for me, man. I will never like the actual technology. I am interested in. I think there's potential there. I like, but I'm not doing it until it's wireless. I'm not having a wire traipsed across my room.
yeah,
And that's not just because I have rabbits that will nibble through it. Like even if I didn't have those rabbits, I it's that's too much faff, man. I'm not
yeah,
doing it.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Plus, it's so much faff just in general for just you, not just even like the people like around you and like you said, pets and people and stuff like that. It's like these games require you to move around a lot, spin around in some circumstances,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you might be tripping over that wire. I'm sure they design it as good as
yeah. That's
possible, but like yeah, it's just not perfect yet. And it's weird the direction they're taking. They're definitely they're improving like the software front and the hardware front before like the usability front and stuff like that. Like making it fully wireless. That's clearly not a priority for them yet. They'd rather do other stuff and then make it wireless. But for me, it's the other way around. But I guess
yeah.
yeah. But yeah. Basically, I'm not huge on VR. I think this is quite pricey. And I think if you want a PlayStation 5 and you want a VR experience with some software at £70 a pop, I would imagine for like that Horizon game or something like that, right? The
That's
VR
right.
one, you're looking at spending a fuck ton of money. You're looking at like probably 1,100, £1,200, give or take,
Yeah.
around that sort of area, and that's crazy to me. Like, it's so expensive, but yeah,
Uh, yeah, and I guess that's the thing. Like, I don't think it's going to pull anyone into the ecosystem. It's going to maybe give some niche of the already existing PlayStation fan base some extra money to spend. But what is that in our chat? Get out of my chat.
oh
Sex
god,
69 fun. Find your love in U City.
this is you,
Please. How
Joaquin.
do I? Yeah, that's right.
It's your
This is
second
a
account.
Smurf account.
Yeah, I don't
Get
have any.
out of.
Yeah, you're in more of a control center to block the user here,
How do I
and
do this? Hide user on this channel.
there
Fuck
you
you.
go. And you could
Get
there you go.
lost.
You did it. Um, yeah,
That's really derailed my thinking, God.
you were just going
That's
on
it.
about VR.
Yeah. So like if like nobody's gonna buy into the PSVR from not having any VR, because for, like you said, for that price of the console and the headset and the game, like that racked up to about 1,100, 1,200. In which case you could get a arguably better headset for your current PC,
Mm-hmm.
assuming you have the specs for it or whatever. So I just don't see it kind of pulling people in, which probably isn't what they were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like we're not there yet with VR in terms of making it mass appeal. I don't know if we'll ever get there for mass appeal, but at least for like to expand that hardcore market, I don't think we're there. And it's quite funny that other technologies like cloud has overtaken it, right? I feel like
Yeah.
cloud has been introduced sooner and has overtaken VR.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Yeah, VR's been around a lot longer than cloud, and yeah, it's been on a very steady I'd say VR has been on a steady like increase in popularity. I don't think it's decreasing, but yeah, very very steady increase there when cloud is shooting up. And that's just because it just comes down to usability, ease of access, and cost as well. And currently VR doesn't check any of those boxes right now.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
yeah, I think
I was
if
just the
if
other
they
day
want
actually.
Oh,
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, if they want mass appeal,
Sorry.
they get mass appeal when they do price reductions. And right now, the tech's just not
Yeah.
there. They just can't. It's new tech. It's groundbreaking tech, so they have to charge groundbreaking prices for it. So
That's right.
you're going to get the hardcore audience, but you're not going to get the mass appeal audience until it starts becoming cheaper.
Yeah, I think you're dead right. And I like, just like I was going to say, like touching on cloud, like I do this fairly frequently. Like the other day, especially for like if it's on game, Microsoft rewards. They had like the Microsoft top 10, to get an achievement on one of these 10 games, and one of them was Nobody Saved the World, which I couldn't really get into at the time, but installed anymore. Still on Game Pass, though. Boot up on cloud, and I just forgot I was playing it on cloud. Like I regularly, and I know I play on my console's plugged in, so I've got like really good speeds. So it's like the optimal, the optimal sort of environment for cloud streaming. But it's really making strides. Is my point. Like I just could not tell. There was no input lag that I could tell. Just super impressive. Obviously, that's going to vary depending on Wi-Fi, but yeah, it's just quite crazy. I think how well they're doing with these cloud technologies.
Yeah, definitely.
Not good enough for a £400 portable cloud console, though.
No,
I
not
don't
good enough
know.
for that.
I think you guys are getting a bit ahead of yourself with that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Everything's so expensive.
Yeah. So the second and last honourable mention that I wanted to touch on was around Matt Booty's presence on SkillUp's podcast, the Friends Per Second podcast. Matt Booty overseeing all of the Xbox First Party studios, as you know, and it was a good little interview. I'd like to have Matt Booty on the show. I'd like to have SkillUp on the show. Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be
when
fun.
we're like 40.
No. I've got
13 more
got
years.
Skill Up lined up for next week, mate.
Do you? That's awesome.
Yeah, he owes me a favour.
All right.
Yeah. Don't ask why.
Yeah, okay, I won't. Nobody ask him why. These are things we're better off not knowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, okay. So they did sort of get him to speak about a couple of studios, but there are two in particular that I thought that were just worth touching on, particularly around Undead Labs and InXile, right?
Oh my god.
InXile haven't revealed their name. What?
I was gonna be like Undead, more like is dead. Because we just never hear from them. That was my joke. We just I think they're making State of Decay 3. I don't know.
I think so too.
They could be doing whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe they'll come up with like a cookbook or something.
State of Decay 3 cookbook.
Like some shoes. Yeah. And I've got some links here. So I forgot I've got this in hyperlinks. So I'm just want to remember what he said around Undead Labs and Exile. Obviously Undead Labs has announced their State of Decay 3 game, and the CGI trailer we got was quite ambitious. There seemed to, we had an undead deer, and there was quite a lot of focus on good visuals, at least from the trailer. But this is what he said. So to quote, we want State of Decay 3 to compete visually. The team is really focused on animation, the interactivity between the player and the environment, and some of the things the coalition is working on for their project directly applies to that. So there is a lot of sharing, particularly the conversation was around sharing of resources and cross-pollination between the studios. So, which I think is really interesting, right? State of Decay has never been a looker. None of their games have ever looked good.
No.
There has always been jankiness, but like just for a visual front, they just have never looked good. So I think that's really interesting. I think they're using UE5 and Unreal Engine 5s, and obviously the coalition are perfect partners to help with that. So what are your kind of thoughts there between that on that quote? Interactivity between the player and environment, lots of focus on animation, visually competitive. What are your thoughts on that in a State of Decay game?
I think that's all excellent to hear. I wouldn't say that's priority number one for me when I'm thinking of the sequel, the next State of Decay. Like, I agree about removing jankiness because it was very janky. But in terms of visually improving and stunning me, I've come to terms with kind of State of Decay never really being that anyway, and I'd rather just them improve on gameplay mechanics and make proper co-op and build like a sort of more, you know, immersive world with like NPCs that don't just tell you to fucking go get meds and farm their crops and shit. I'd rather them work on stuff like that, which I'm sure they are as well. I just hope they're not putting too much attention into just making this a bit of a visual blockbuster now. You know, we don't necessarily need that. We've got a lot of pretty visually impressive zombie games already. You know, in terms of Dying Light 2 and Dead Island 2 on the horizon and stuff like that. You know, we have hyper realistic zombie games already. But it's still good to hear, you know, in terms of removing jankiness and improving visuals. I'll never say no to that. I just hope they're not putting all their eggs in one basket with that, and it's just going to be a pretty shallow pool of a game, but looks better, you know. You know?
Well, yeah, I think this is the thing about State of Decay. Like, they've always had, it's always been a mechanically deep game. Like, the people that like that game like it because the mechanics are so well tuned and, you know, rewarding and all of this. You know, the micromanagement is really, really satisfying. It's everything else that's been difficult, right? So I definitely see your angle, but I think the other side of this is that I think actually a top of the line, graphically competitive game with like high animations really suits a State of Decay game, because there is a lot of like finding, you know, when you find a survivor and, you know, he's just a list of stats with a blurry face, you know. Yeah, it takes away, it breaks that kind of immersion a little bit. Whereas, you know, presumably in State of Decay 3, you know, if we're finding these survivors and they're, you know, like really well animated, you know, they're walking and there's like footsteps in the snow, you know, there's like, we can see the steam coming out when they breathe, you know, things like that. It just adds that level of kind of humanity to some of those NPCs. And I think that just goes really nicely into a State of Decay game. So I think everybody is rooting for Undead Labs to nail this one, because, you know, I know a lot of people like State of Decay 2 now, and apparently it's in a much better place, but there is still an undeniable level of jank, just at a system level, because the focus is on kind of the systems, you know, and the mechanics, rather than like the shooting and the animations and the and you know, obviously there was a lack of polish at launch, but you know, been ironed by now. So yeah, go Undead Labs, blow us away.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him.
We've got an interesting question from Joaquin here. In the before, because we are going to touch on Fable, so I will touch on it now. In the old Fables, Tim, the old ones, did you have multiple wives and children?
Well, I don't see this question. Is my chat lagging behind? No, my chat must have disconnected or something. Yeah, no, I didn't see that question. So yeah, sorry. In Fable, did I have multiple children and wives?
Yeah.
I think I had multiple wives, but I don't think I had multiple children. I'm pretty sure we did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. Yeah, I definitely was a little bit of a whore in Fable for one of my playthroughs, and I did have multiple partners. I don't think I had like loads of different kids though running around from loads of different women. I don't think I did that, but
no,
I even can't commit to kids in a video game, dude. It's too much.
Don't get me started. Yeah, I don't know. Romance systems are really weird in games, aren't they? Like I don't know. Like I don't know what to say about them. I've never really thought about it critically, but I suppose it's nice when there's like kind of a mechanic there to it. But having said that, you know, a lot of people play like, you know, these simulation type games, like Animal Crossing or whatever it is, where, you know, just being in the world and having relationships. I mean, it's like we value platonic relationships in games, right? You know, like, oh, I love that character in Mass Effect, or I you know, love that character in The Witcher. So, but there is something quite funny about the romantic ones. It's usually because your partner walks in just for the at the wrong time, and then everything's really awkward. You know what I mean? For like the 5-second clip of characters kissing or something, and then your partner walks in.
And
I promise
this isn't like a boner. on the sofa.
Like, this is, I don't know what's going on.
It's not what it
This
looks
isn't
like.
normal.
I didn't realize you'd be home. You're home early, honey.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that. Because I remember, like, in The Witcher, I was like hyper monogamous Geralt. Yen all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, typically I'd go for the redheads with Triss, but Nat, Yen did something for me, and I was all the way monogamous. I was Christian Geralt.
I respect that.
I followed my vows. Yeah. Yeah, just funny stuff. Okay, so that's Undead Labs, and the second one that Matt Booty spoke about. And as I said, it's a really good interview, so I would recommend you go and have a listen. They've got it timestamped, so you can just skip to the Matt Booty bit. Not that you'd want to, because of course they do a brilliant podcast. But if you're just interested in the Matt Booty part, you can do that. And the second one of interest, I thought, was his little chat about InXile, which of course we know is titled Project Cobalt. The rumor is that it's a first-person steampunk game that a lot of internal impressions have been very, very impressed by. Okay. And just to kind of get some perspective on the studio here, they're about 110 people in size, so that really they're like double A sized. Wasteland was a very big game. It's like it's like a double A plus, right? It does feel like AAA in scope and in like systems, and the interactivity of that game is kind of bonkers. Do you know what I mean? Would you describe it similarly?
Yeah. I wouldn't look at Wasteland and think AAA immediately. Yeah, I think just below it. Yeah, it's adventurous with what it does, but it never quite looks and feels like a AAA. I don't know if that's just because of the style of RPG it is.
Yeah,
because it's old school and it makes me think that way because I'm more new school. I don't know. But yeah, I would agree with you with saying it's a little bit less than AAA. Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting because now that I think about it, I don't think like when I'm thinking of all of those kind of XCOM. I know Wasteland is more RPG than it is XCOM, but you know what I mean. Like XCOM strategy games, they're all like teetering between AA and AAA.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just because of the way I'm thinking of what a traditional AAA game is. Do you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Halo Wars. I know Halo Wars isn't XCOM. Like Halo Wars, XCOM themselves, Gears Tactics. Like in my head, it's like, oh, none of them are very clearly, but yeah, I think that's just the type of game they are, right? It doesn't scream budget, and therefore you're kind of like, oh, it's a bit less than AAA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Kind of goes to show how pointless that categorization is, right? It's benign, you might say.
Oh, nice. I like that.
That's a throwback.
That's a good word.
Okay, I should probably get onto the actual point I was making. Okay, so this is what he said. In quotes, Matt said, we had all our studio heads together and InXile showed a vertical slice of their next game. And everyone was kind of blown away. If there was a measure of the coolness of what you create as a ratio to how many people are working on it, that studio has to win a prize. And I don't have the exact quote, so I'm paraphrasing for the next bit, but he kind of said that, that they went to like kind of look what they're doing, and they showed off like the vertical slice, and he said like, oh, this is pretty cool. They've done pretty well for the time they've been working on it. This is looking really good. And then he said they showed him the next one. They're like, oh wow, yeah, this looks great, yeah, really, really impressive. And then they showed him the next one, and they were like, how have you guys gotten this far and done this much and made this much impressive tech in this long? To that effect.
Yeah,
they've done a lot, and like what they're working on is very, very exciting. And they just squeeze the most resources out of the modest size studio that they have. So I'm really excited to see this game. I think InXile is a really talented team. They said that they have, well, we know that InXile, like I said, have some of the best interactivity systems, I would say, across the industry. And applying that to a first-person shooter steampunk RPG, that sounds quite nice.
It does, yeah. I'm definitely quite excited, and I'm just quite excited to just get like the name reveal for it and all that sort of stuff as well. That's always quite exciting. I'm pretty hyped. As much as that studio they don't exactly make games that appeal to me. maybe this is the one that does. It definitely seems like the one that's most likely to hook me. So yeah, I'm excited to see it.
And I think that's the thing about, even with Wasteland 3, like we've both tried to get in, we played a bit of co-op together, maybe played the first 5 hours. I've tried to play like a couple where I was solo, and I just can't quite get going with it. I've spoken about this on a previous episode because it's like, it just feels a bit old school for me. But with that game, I can really, even in the first 5-10 hours, I can super appreciate how much depth is there. Do you know what I mean? It kind of like tiny decisions you make. The writing is really funny. The loot system, it all feels really snappy. So there's a lot to appreciate there, and I think that's really exciting. So
yeah, definitely, for sure.
Hopefully, E3 coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, Tim, let's get into the main stories for this week. So this is what I was referring to earlier when we were talking about Xbox first party, and there's a big conversation to be had here, and we can really have this any week because it's been an ongoing problem for 2022, but it just seems pertinent right now with God of War here and the comments that Phil has made. So, and those comments are the story here. So what he said, to quote, is, "One thing we've definitely heard loud and clear is that it's been too long since we've shipped what people would say is a big first-party game." He said that we could have our excuses on COVID and other things, but in the end, I know people invest in our platform and they want to have great games. And I believe he said this on the Same Brain podcast with iJustine. Do you remember iJustine?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Fucking early YouTube celeb.
Yeah.
She also doesn't look like she's aged a day since she's been making videos, which is like crazy to me. I don't know what skincare you're using, but can you send it my way?
It's blood sacrifice.
Perfect. Shall we do that after the
Perfect. Show? Even easier than a regular skincare routine.
I don't have to pay for it. You know what I mean?
I blood sacrifice on the regular.
And he also said, to follow, we look at 2023 and there's a great lineup of games that I'm excited about. We're excited about 2023. We've talked about games that are coming, and those games are tracking well. Getting our first real Xbox first-party games out of Bethesda, having them ship Redfall and Starfield, will be a lot of fun. So, I suppose, Phil being Phil, top bloke, just putting it out there.
He's being honest.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And that's exactly
what makes the guy likable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he does cut the bullshit. And it does. This is why, when all these things come out, and especially in the Blizz Activision deal and stuff like that, with what Phil says, I would take his word for it. I would genuinely believe that's what he would do, and what they would do with Activision and Blizzard and stuff like that, because he genuinely has a track record of being quite an honest guy. Pretty open book. So yeah, and I think we would literally say the exact same thing if we were put on. We are on a live podcast right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Jesus Christ.
When did this happen?
where am I? Yeah, so I would say the exact same thing. It's been a slow year, but we've just been it's just building up, right? It's there's a lot coming in 2023. And yeah, I agree with everything he said. I would say the same way.
Yeah, and it's I know, but because I think this is Phil gets some criticism for this because a lot of people feel like, oh, he's all talk and everything, but I don't think so. He tends to follow through on the things he said, and there's a long history of that. And yes, it's taken time, and that's the long criticism that's the ongoing criticism that all of us continue to have about Xbox. And I've said on previous shows, I think it is a bit unfair, the exclusion criteria that a lot of people seem to have around Xbox's games. Like I said at the beginning of the show, Flight Sim doesn't count, Forza Horizon doesn't count, As Dusk Falls doesn't count. All of these Game Pass day ones, Plague Tale that just happened, or Dark Tide that's coming up, or Somerville, or Pentiment. None of them count. and I think that's a bit unfair, but I think we can all agree is that if we are going to shrink that criteria to exclusive AAA games, where are they?
Yeah, there's been
And
none
it,
except Halo.
yeah, Halo and Forza
Yeah,
have
Halo and
really
Forza.
been it.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously, in the previous year, there was also, because as we know, Xbox had a really successful 2021. But that was Psychonaut. Oh, and there's the wrinkle of like, oh, that was multiplayer. Oh, there was Deathloop. That was technically a first-party studio. There's the wrinkle that it was, PlayStation exclusive for a year. Just things like that. There was some more, but just lots of wrinkles. And Xbox needs those wrinkles to be ironed out, really, just to help with the PR and get that momentum moving and have some critical success. Like they need to get past this, the Xbox One optics that they have of still like Crackdown 3 and the cancelled Fable Legends and Halo Infinite, still now getting, it had such a solid first month or two, but like the bad PR since then has just been never ending. And they need to move past this. And everybody's, I think, hoping that whichever comes first, Redfall or Starfield, will be that big reset button.
Yeah. I just think, I think 2022 has just been it's a game of making moves. Xbox has been making moves for a couple of years now. They're on the chessboard. They're moving their pawns. They're getting everything in place, and I do think 2023 will be the year you start to see some pretty advanced plays coming through. Maybe even a checkmate. No.
Yeah, no, I get it. No, you've done great.
But I agree. Yeah, just wanted to throw in a little metaphor there. I like my metaphors.
That's not a problem at all. I just wanted to shout out a couple of comments we got in the chat here. David Cohen says, I'm now a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber. I think Game Pass Ultimate is great value, even though it's $15 for the first 3 months. It's quite a bargain. Includes Xbox Live Gold, includes EA Play. Don't forget, it includes cloud streaming as part of that. And soon, you'll be able to do family sharing. As far as I'm aware, the family share is just for Ultimate packages. You can't share the non-Ultimate packages, if that makes sense. So even more value. And this is the thing when we're talking about, like, on the metric of AAA exclusive games, that is a metric that Xbox is losing quite comfortably. Like, it's not that close. Just this year, PlayStation had Gran Turismo did well. Bit of controversy lodged, but whatever, it did well. Horizon did well. And now God of War, which is like, and that's considered a fairly mild year, quite tempered. And they've had a few games before that as well. So, but in all other areas, Xbox is really excelling. The Game Pass, the Game Pass Ultimate, the day one editions with Plague Tale we just had, which was, fantastic. Dark Tide coming up. We've got like Hollow Knight coming at the beginning of 23, we think. And then the rest of the first party stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the take. And I guess my question to you, sort of while we're on this conversation, Tim, is like what do we think is a lock for 23, and like what do we need here? Do we need, because I've seen some comments saying like 2023 needs to be like mega stacked to make up for 2022. Does Xbox need to make up for 2022, or do they just need to try and hit their cadence that we're going to try and regularly have, which they've said is one a quarter?
I don't think they need to make up for 2022. I think everyone being more sided with Xbox was fully aware that 2022 would be this kind of year. I think Halo Infinite, we could all agree, could have been a bit more of a banger. I think that would have helped if it didn't just die off.
Well, just if they kept it up.
Quick. Yeah, exactly.
If they kept it up.
So that definitely took the wind out of the sails a little bit, and I'm sure Microsoft, Xbox was kind of hoping, it didn't, like we said, die off that quick. But yeah, I don't think they have anything to make up for. And I think just that, just hitting what they promised and what they've talked about now for 1 to 2 years, just like you said, hitting that cadence of a good first party game every quarter. I even think that's quite a lot as well. So if we're trying to hit like a really high standard of AAA as well, like God of War and Horizon and stuff like that, having consistently 4 of those a year is quite is quite a big deal. Like that's quite the thing to take on. So yeah, I just think just work on making them like not fucking flop. Like just I just want Redfall, even if it's literally just Redfall Starfield. It's just like a massive delays, whatever. As long as those release and they're good and they're up to the standard that they were promised, I'd be pretty happy. Um, it's you don't need to drown me in games. I'd rather have less at a higher quality. Um, and I even think, like I said, I even think one every quarter is maybe a bit too quick. Um, you know, I'd rather have less if it's better quality. But yeah,
especially when they can supplement it with Game Pass editions.
exactly.
Which is what they've been doing, what they've been trying to do anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really good point. And I hate to try and like sort of quantify this a lot, but like what is like an acceptable, if we're thinking about aggregate scores, Open Critic, what is a score that you think is fair and but essential for these first party studios to be hitting? Because it hasn't just been the quantity that Xbox has been struggling with until recently. It's been the quality. They have the quality has really picked up since sort of 2020 across Age of Empires, Gears Tactics, Flight Sim, Halo, Forza, as Dusk Falls, all of that. But prior to that, Crackdown was in the 60s. Sea of Thieves launched to high 60s. Obviously it's popular now, but So what do you think? If there's a number you had to put on it, do you think is necessary for these studios to hit or be aiming for as a minimum?
Yeah, if we're talking AAA studios, we're talking the likes of these things that have been hyped up, Redfall, Starfield, all that. I'd like these games to be hitting the 80s. I'd say like if Redfall and Starfield were released and that like settled at like a 77 or a high 70s, that's still a bit lackluster for me. I'd like them to hit 80s. Of course, this score and everyone's review scores, it's down to how you perceive the game. Someone might see it, a reviewer might see it as a 75, but you might enjoy it as a 9. Obviously that's always going to be the thing with rating games, of course. But as a general, from a PR standpoint and a public view, I'd like these games to be hitting 80s. Yeah.
I think that's probably fair. Yeah, I agree. And as much as we can talk around in circles, reviews don't matter, etc. They do, don't they? They do in terms of success, the public critical success. Yeah. And we even know from all these leaked documents that all these publishers use them as metrics for shareholders. They use them as metrics, internally to make propositions and rationales for funding and greenlight. Everything. They do matter. If they don't matter to you, that's fine, and I totally understand that. But they are important in the larger sort of scheme of things. So yeah, I'm with you, Tim. I think all of these games need to be at least hitting 80. Of course, I'd like it higher because really, when we look at something like, and this, a game like God of War is like a freak game, like Elden Ring. These are freak games. Like you cannot expect all games to be hitting this because you're getting into formulaic territory then. Like, and unless you're like, the scores still fall on like a normal distribution, like a bell curve scale. So you're still hitting, 90 is still going to be less common, as it should be. But I do think they need to get a 90 under their belt kind of as soon as possible. Again, I hate trying to like just put this into numbers and everything, because comfortably something like Avowed could resonate more with wider audiences at an 85 than God of War might do at 94, right? So it's not all about that score for sure. But what upcoming game do you think is most likely to get a 90 plus? Forza Motorsport, Hellblade 2, Avowed, Fable, Starfield, Redfall. Those are pretty much all the ones that are announced for now, barring Undead State of Decay, but that's so far away. What do you think? And to the chat as well. What do you think, chat?
I think it's hard to say because like I want to say Fable, but that's being undertaken from a brand new studio, so it's really hard to know how that's going to turn out. And Playground
Yeah, it is,
Games,
yeah.
obviously fantastic, but they've never made anything like an RPG before. Obviously, they have an incredible track record, so I'd like to say that, and I want to say that, but I feel like just because of that, I can't. And I want to say Starfield as well, but I just feel like that game has so many fucking eyes on it already, and so like
Yeah.
everything is just being looked at from such a critical standpoint. Like people are zooming in on the fucking sand on a moon and saying it's not enough pixels in this grain of sand, stuff like that, and it's just I want to say that, but I feel like that game is under so much scrutiny that I I want it, and I think it's probably capable of hitting a 90, but I just don't think it will. I don't know. There's just this feeling I have in me that that game's going to be like
I
mid 80s,
I don't think
mid
it will.
80s.
You're
That's
dead
not
right.
good.
You're dead right with what you said. What?
No, I thought I just had like a mini little stroke there. Ignore me.
No, you didn't. Yeah.
Uh,
No,
yeah,
I'm dead with you. When I think of Starfield, I'm like, because let's be real. Let's be real. Starfield is the first next gen game that's being made.
yeah,
I don't think I'm upsetting anyone there. You know, the next gen only games that PlayStation have put out have been like what Dark Souls remake, Returnal was it?
I think
Ratchet and
so.
Clank. Ratchet and Clank was arguably their, poster boy for that, but then it seemed doable on the PS4 as well. Like, yeah, the world shifting was absolutely supplemented by the SSD, and it was the best place to play, no doubt. But I'm pretty sure the game has been run on a HDD. Like, that's been proven at this point. Not that any of that like disqualifies or like reduces the quality of the game, but let's face it. In terms of scale, Starfield is bigger than Ratchet and Clank, isn't it? In terms of
Yes,
the
yeah,
ambition there and grappling with the hardware. And I think you're right. As a result, I think a lot of scrutiny comes with that, and I just cannot see that game getting 90 plus. Even
yeah.
though I'd love it. I'd love it if they could pull that off. But sorry, I interrupted you. Anything else? Other games?
Oh yeah, no, I was basically going to say I think out of the options I at our disposal and the list that is given, I forgot everything on there already. I'd say the most likely to
It's
hit.
in the notes.
Okay, I'd say the most likely to. Where is it on the notes?
I've just got it on the topic. Phil acknowledges lack of big first party games, and then it's in bold just above the picture, above the
Okay,
screenshot.
yeah. I'd say the most likely out of those. The easy one is Forza 8, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Hellblade. I think Hellblade is quite likely in my eyes to hit a 90 or above.
Interesting.
With the way that game is shaping
Any
up.
particular? Right. Okay.
Yeah, just from what we've seen of it, and just the step up from Hellblade 1 and just like how long they're taking and they're being honest and delaying it for these reasons and stuff like that. It's really, you can tell it's a passion project for them, which I'm sure a lot of games are, but I just, it just gives me this vibe of it gives me like a similar like God of War vibe, like that's kind of what it's giving me. So I think that might
Yeah.
hit a 90 plus.
Well, that's what a lot of people are saying. Where's Xbox's God of War? Does Xbox need a God of War? I don't know,
I'd
but
say
it
Hellblade is its
needs it.
closest.
Yes, right. And because I'm looking at the first one right now, and the first one only has 84, which I think is fucking robbery, by the way. And it was
Yeah.
multi-plat back then.
Yeah.
Hellblade, and like this really worries me. Sorry, I'm going on a bit of a tangent. Like, this really worries me that I think there are games which really make use of the medium of video games so well, but then they get criticized for not being like a traditional video game. That really, really worries me. It like there's no bonus points awarded for like
creativity.
Use of the medium, creativity, innovation. A lot of and there are a lot of outlets that do recognize that, but there are also a lot that just like like it wasn't enough cinematic cutscenes, and it's like the game's not trying to accomplish that. You know, and I've made this point before that I think cinematic third-person action adventure games are typically the sort of game that receives the highest reviews because it's most analogous to films.
Yeah.
Basically.
I would agree.
And therefore we know what to look for. We know what's good. We know what's bad. But you think about something like Hellblade. You haven't played Hellblade yet, have you?
No.
There's a really minor spoiler. There's a mechanic in the game which fucking lies to you. It lies to you to induce anxiety.
Yeah.
There's a level in the game. There's a long level which trains you to get used to audio cues. Bearing in mind the game has phenomenal surround sound, like because there's voices talking to you, and they use these voices to indicate like enemy direction. Like someone will say, "He's behind you," and you know, or like block now, you know, to help block, all of that stuff that you never usually see. And then at the end of the level, you fight in pitch black, and you just use vote. Like that is incredibly creative stuff, and that's like this is what I mean when I'm talking about using the medium. You can emulate that in a movie.
Yeah.
And it worries me that, like, because I think Hellblade's a comfortable 9, and people say, "Oh, the combat wasn't very good," but it's like, I don't know, like it wasn't about the combat.
Yeah.
Like it had everything you needed. It had like counters. It had perfect counters. It had different combos. The game never tells you what the combos are. You just experiment and you find your way, and that's part of what it was trying to achieve. What it sets out to do, it does. There's no loot system. Like, for fuck's sake.
Game doesn't need a fucking loot system.
And that worries me, like, because that's what makes me think, I don't know if Hellblade 2 does get out. Like, if they take that to the next level, I think, yeah, we may be looking at a couple of extra points because the game looks phenomenal. If they have expanded on the combat, I think there are going to be haters out there. There are going to be mad haters, you know? Where's my movie game?
True.
It's my rant, dude.
I can see that.
It's my fucking rant. Yeah,
so you think 4's alright? And I just again, I think Avowed is just too much. It's just a giant question mark. Like I want it, and I think it could. Obsidian, fantastic, always have been, but it's just too much of a question. I haven't seen enough to be like, this is a 9. You know. Plus, it's experimental. It's so like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And that's the thing. Like, I can't confidently pin any of these studios as hitting 9 out of 90 or above on their next games.
Yeah.
I really can't. And that's not to say they're not capable. Obviously, I think they're fantastic studios. I'm not confident. So we'll see. We'll see. And I don't think it ultimately matters. If a lot of these studios are hitting 85 plus, I think that will do the job. That will start to, or even 80 plus, that will start to cement. Oh, Xbox is churning out solid titles, you know, quarter after quarter, and that's what we really need. But in terms of the 90 plus question, I don't know if we'll get there for a bit, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah,
hope I'm wrong. Hope Starfield gets there. Hope Redfall gets there. But you know, I can already tell that Redfall's not for everyone, and that means people are going to give it 3 out of 10s and shit. So
yeah.
I can already tell that game's going to be high 70s or just scratch an 80.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. So following on from this, Tim, and this is kind of not just following on from the story, but also our conversation. Forbes put out an article from Paul Tassi, and I like all of the stuff he does. So this isn't like a dig. This is just the nature of opinion pieces. Sometimes opinions are different. No problem, bro. That's okay. The article was titled, "PlayStation is still a hit machine while Xbox hasn't even started catching up yet." To quote, it's referencing God of War Ragnarok. Paul says, "It's the latest in a long series of absolute stellar first-party exclusive games from PlayStation. The list is just massive. The Uncharted series, Last of Us Part 1 and 2, Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, Bloodborne, and now 2 God of War games that are some of the best reviewed titles in 2 generations. Microsoft Xbox, which excelling in the subscription value space with Game Pass, still has yet to not just match this, but really even start attempting to match this. They went an entire generation without many meaningful exclusive titles, and I'd argue none on the level of Sony's offerings. The best exclusives for Xbox across 2 generations now have been Forza titles, and those are heavily reliant on players liking the racing genre in the first place. So my question to you and to listeners is, to what degree do we agree with this? Because I publicly went to Twitter and said that I think it's a little bit high. I agree with the overall sentiment, but I think it's a little bit harsh. What do you think? Haven't even started catching up yet.
Yeah, see that's what gets me. I agree with what he said. Like facts are facts. PlayStation have churned out all of those games, and Xbox haven't really. The thing that gets me and triggers me most is the hasn't even started catching up. I think that's all Xbox has been doing. Is playing catch up, and we are catching up. Just because we haven't released anything, it doesn't mean we're not in the race. And like I said, it's all just been prep work, and I think it's all going to start coming out in a steady cadence come 2023 onwards. So I would disagree with the whole catching up, insinuating we're not even in there. We've already lost the race or whatever like that. Like that's what I disagree with. Yeah.
Then that's what I mean. Like there always seems to be a wrinkle to one of these successful titles that Xbox does put out. Like that exclusion criteria shifts, those goalposts shift. Yeah, okay. So Forza Horizon half counts because it relies on racing games. Flight Sim isn't even considered. That's a 90+ game. It's niche. That's not really the point, is it? I thought we were talking about exclusive games. Oh, it's first party exclusive games. Okay, well that doesn't count because Flight Sim's made by Asobo, I guess, so that doesn't count. Oh, but you said Bloodborne. Bloodborne was made by FromSoft. They're not first party, but that counts.
Yeah.
Oh, what about Spider-Man? Insomniac wasn't acquired when they found the first Spider-Man, so does that count? You know what I mean? This ever-shifting criteria is it's interesting. I'll lend it that adjective. Yeah. So sorry.
Just kidding. You're back. Don't worry.
Yeah, sorry, I got sucked into the shadow realm for a moment. I promised no console warring at the beginning of the episode, and then look at me now.
Yeah, I have solemnly sworn, and I've held up my end. You're going to hell now, bro.
You're into gamer jail. Other things as well. Gears Tactics, that was like mid-80s, but it was PC first, so it doesn't count. Age of Empires, mid-80s. It's PC first, doesn't count. It's coming to Xbox, doesn't count. It's already been on PC for so long. Pentament's coming up, doesn't count. It's an indie title, even though it's like 20 to 25 hours long.
And it's made by a AAA studio, Obsidian.
Made by a AAA studio. This is the frustration. So I PlayStation, to repeat the quote, PlayStation is still a hit machine while Xbox hasn't even started catching up yet. And that's just a headline, but the article shares the same spirit. And of course it draws on Phil's own comment about the lack of big first party titles this year. But to say that Xbox hasn't even started catching up yet, I feel is a little bit unfair. We have had 2022 has been bad. No one's going to deny that. But across 2020 and 2021, in particular 2021, there's been good stuff here. They have started catching up. They have started. But nobody's going to disagree with you that PlayStation is a hit machine. Nobody's going to disagree with that.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, for recent years. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. We'll move on because we're getting on for time. But on the same podcast that we've been speaking about the whole time with iJustine on the Same Brain podcast, Phil reiterates the intent to keep COD on PlayStation after the ABK deal goes through. No real extra news to follow up on there, but it was really funny because Justine asked him a sort of kind of broad question about what could happen with the deal, and foreclosure and exclusivity. And Phil just looked to the camera and he was like, "We're not going to take COD off PlayStation. I know you didn't ask that, but I just want to punch that in the nose.
Yeah.
It's just really funny. Because the guy's just like, he's obviously sick of talking about it as much as we are. So
I do love Phil. He's such a legend.
yeah, it's good. He is a legend. Okay. Next story then. High on Life dev Tim Squanch Games has said that Xbox has been an absolute dream to work with. Obviously talking about High on Life. High on Life, I forgot about that. That's coming this year. It's coming December. Yeah.
Looks really exciting. I'm excited for this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I am as well. And they've said that Xbox has been an absolute dream to work with. They've been very supportive in their efforts to help us market High on Life and have completely stayed out of any development of the game. This is what we like to call the perfect partner. How'd that sound?
Sounds pretty good, man. And yeah, that's kind of exactly what you want out of a publisher, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
A publisher. They don't interfere with the dev work. They don't have any suits coming in and says it needs more sad dad storylines. No, just let them fucking.
Oh shit!
Oh damn it! Did I break? Did I?
Yeah.
I didn't.
You might have done. You're riding the line there, dude.
Yeah. So it's just nice that they can get on with their stuff and in the areas they need to be supported in terms of marketing and getting the game where it needs to be to get seen. That's when they come in to help. Like you said, like I imagine, like I said, that's exactly what you want. So good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Lovely. What we like to hear. Next up, we've got the Game Pass editions for November. If you wouldn't mind, Tim, could you pop this on the screen for our dear viewers? If you could just try and zoom in on it, or
kind of caught me off guard here, bro. No, I'm kidding. Ready. I'm ready.
Good. Because I have it right there, it's right there. I put it on the note, you prick.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Right, it's here. Jesus.
There's so much emphasis on that T. All right.
It's on the screen. Little gay boy.
Yeah, High on Squanch Games making a Conquer game. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
They are perfectly suited for a Conquer game. Damn, that's hot. I like that comment.
That's a good shout.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Although I don't know if like Justin Roiland can do anything but Rick and Morty humor.
Yeah,
but maybe that could just be Conquer's revival.
Yeah, Conquer in space.
Yeah, that's it. Interdimensional Conquer.
Yeah, the multiverse.
I think you're onto something. I think Joaquin is onto something.
I tell you what, they are actually like genuinely like. I saw that and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like I couldn't name a better studio to actually to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a good month. For Game Pass here. We've got two of the Walking Dead games. I think these are the Telltale games, aren't they? They're just PC for now. Football Manager 23 for PC, and then Football Manager 2023 for cloud and console as well. We've got Ghost Song. I think what's the one on the top right there? I think it's The Legend of Tian Ding. Is that right?
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Return to Monkey Island, which is the sequel, as like the next installment in that dormant franchise. Ghost Song, and then for me the big three standouts: Pentiment, Vampire Survivors, and Somerville. That's lovely.
It's a big month. Like Monkey Island is big for a lot of people. Like this game I think has been quite long awaited. So I think people are quite excited to play this, and it has a pretty big fan base. So so that's pretty big. Obviously Pentiment is massive. That's been pretty hyped up and will no doubt be a banger as per Obsidian standards. And we talked about Vampire. Okay, you go.
Yes. Sorry, yeah. So it'd be funny if after all of our conversation with that, if Pentiment hits 90 on Metacritic.
Yeah, but it doesn't count. It's not triple A.
Doesn't count, dude.
It's not triple A.
No, it's not triple A.
Doesn't count, man.
Triple A just stands for.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah, it's only
Screaming into the void.
ah. It's not a ah. Sorry, I shouldn't have
Yeah,
a
that's
headphone
right.
warning. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah,
Uh,
everyone's going to lose 30 of our subscribers.
yeah, that's true.
3/4 of them.
But yeah, and we talked about Vampire Survivors at the beginning of the podcast. That looks pretty cool. I was only made aware of it today, but it looks pretty exciting and pretty fun. And Somerville looks to be a bit of a banger. So yeah, big.
This could be a big month. Yeah, hopefully it'd really help Xbox PR if Pentiment reviewed really well. I have no doubt this game's going to hit like 80 plus. But if it can really get into those upper echelons, that would be super, super exciting. But yes, I'm very excited for that game. I think it looks so interesting, and they've been very tight-lipped about a lot of stuff in there. I think there have been some previews out there already. Maybe I'm wrong, but they've all been hyper positive.
Yeah.
And Somerville, I don't know if I think that comes out after Pentiment, but yeah, I'll be looking forward to playing that as well because Inside and Limbo were fantastic. So good month, good month.
Very good month. Have these got dates? Like, because they normally do first 5 of the big first half of the month.
Yeah.
And then is it done like literally top row is the first half of the month and the bottom row is the second half of the month?
I don't know, actually. I remember seeing on the article that they put Vampire Survivors is the 10th of November. I'm pretty sure Pentiment, I want to say, is the 16th, maybe the 14th. No, 16th is my baby's due date. Might be the 14th. I can't remember. It's in the teens, and I don't know about Somerville. I don't know about the others. So
okay, that's fair enough.
But it's on the Xbox Wire post. If you want to go and have a look.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Moving on then. Embracer. You know, Embracer, the Nordic planetary-sized publisher that's hoovering up every single studio, has recently acquired. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Closes their recently acquired studio, which is Square Enix Montreal.
You did it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm
yeah, you got it. You got
absolutely scrambled. Yeah. So okay, right. So this is what happened, right? Square Enix Montreal, they only acquired them a couple of months back, and they renamed them to Onoma, Onoma, Onoma. Weird name, but maybe it's Nordic. A lot of those, or some of their staff, at the very least, is being transferred over to Eidos Montreal. Eidos Montreal made games like Deus Ex, first and second. Don't know what else, but those ones. And as part of this, part of the Bloomberg article that Jason Schreier put out, we found out that Eidos Montreal have been working, or at least have plans to work, presumably have been working, with Xbox on games including Fable.
Ooh.
That's a chin stroker. Thoughts?
Yeah. So they're just like
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. What?
Montreal.
Montreal did Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay.
Well, Square. I think Square Enix did it, but a lot of the staff obviously going to Montreal.
Yeah.
So similar staff. Yeah.
So this new Onoma has been working with Xbox on Fable. Is that what you're saying?
Onoma was Square Enix Montreal. They've been closed, but a lot of that staff has been transferred to Eidos Montreal, and Eidos are working with Xbox on games, including Fable. Fable's the main one here.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Embracer and Xbox getting cozy, getting in bed together. Especially as they're acquiring a lot at the moment in Embracer, aren't they? They're going kind of mental.
They are kind of mental. And it begs a couple of questions, really. Would Xbox be buying this studio if ABK wasn't being such a pain in the ass or wasn't still going through? are Xbox doing the right thing by recruiting the support of so many external studios? This is the third, right? We've got Certain Affinity helping with 343. We've got Crystal Dynamics helping with the Initiative on Perfect Dark. And now I've got Eidos Montreal supporting Playground with Fable. And this is really common, right? We know that, I think it was said in the chat earlier, I think Joaquin said, there were like 6 studios involved with God of War. There was like 12 studios involved with the Last of Us Part 2. It's common, and Matt Booty's spoken about this on I've watched a couple of interviews he's had. He's spoken about this kind of, studios for hire kind of thing, where if there's a downtime for one of the many teams in the studios, they can just get recruited and get the bag, get the paycheck. However, I'm not sure. We've heard a big criticism from Microsoft or about Microsoft is that they've relied really heavily on contract workers, and this was part of the reason that 343 really struggled, because they have a proprietary engine. They have people coming in, going out, and people had to come in and relearn the engine. And maybe that is a unique 343 problem with Slipstream, considering a lot of the other teams seem to be using Unreal Engine 5 and really leveraging the coalition to develop expertise there. But it's I don't know if this is better than bringing in individual contractors. Do you know what I mean? We know because we know they have a hiring freeze at the moment as well. From what I last heard, so they're not bringing on for more full-time employees because of uncertainty. But like, to me, this sounds like a little bit better. I think people see this news and at face value are like, oh, they can't make the game by themselves. Oh, they must be really struggling internally. What do you think?
No, I don't think it's anything like struggling internally or anything like that. I just feel like, I mean, I don't know what goes into development and how Xbox see the recruiting external help is better than doing it internally. I don't know any of the inner workings of that sort of thing. I feel like if Xbox could do it internally, they probably would. It's just, the expertise are better from the outside looking in. They've got more experience with exactly what they're looking for. I don't think it's necessarily an internal struggle, an issue, and these people are bailing Xbox first party studios out. I don't think it's anything like that.
Right.
And I just think it's also just good to I think it's nice to work with studios outside of your internal sort of umbrella. I think it's good to make those sort of friendships and that sort of stuff for sure. And yeah, who knows? It might even result in potentially Xbox wanting to buy these studios off Embracer or something like that. Depending on how well this partnership works out. So
yeah. Well, because this has been part of the speculation, right? It's like, well, what is like for this whole time? What has Embracer's game been? What are you doing? Like, they're not a games company. Embracer are not a games company, but they're buying up a load of games company to oversee. And
flipping
the thought process. Right, yeah, the thought process with some of this, actually finding out that a lot of their studios, or some of their studios at the very least, are involved helping other publishers and other studios. Are they just flipping them because they know that it's a booming industry at the moment? Selling them, lending them out to other publishers so that they kind of require or demand the help, and then being like, oh, you could have them if you want, just a couple of 100 mil, a sweet couple mils,
which we know is not much for you, Philly. So get that wallet out.
Yeah, that's right. And like, on the other side of it is, instead of looking to sell, they just rent these studios out.
Yeah.
And that becomes the model.
Mm-hmm.
Or they just charge high contract prices, and they just Embracer become known as the contracting studio. So it's weird. It's weird. And yeah, I think if anything, this is a good thing because these are established studios and who have made good games. And to me, it shows that Xbox want to push these games to the next level.
Mm.
You know, like teams of 100 or 200 are big, and you can definitely make AAA games on that scope, but there might be some compromises here and there where they just simply didn't have enough time, or Xbox are looking to accelerate the development so that we're not waiting until 2025 or 6 for a lot of them to come out. So
yeah,
overall, it's a good thing, but it is interesting that we're hearing more and more that other of these sort of bigger name studios are supporting them.
Yeah, no, yeah, agreed. Yeah, I don't think it should be looked on in a negative light. Especially when you just don't know. It's all assumption at this point. So it's just, I think it's quite harsh and just naive to just look at it and just be like, oh, they're clearly struggling. It's just like, well, no, like that's probably not the reason. Like nobody knows, but why just assume that? But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it is
because Xbox.
It's a negative. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just speculation though, just speculation territory. Because I can see chat making some really good points, about the wrinkles of that. But yeah, it's just looking out inwards to what they're trying to do, and I can see those things all being feasible. But it might be the case that this has always been happening, and we just haven't known about it until recently. So, we'll see. All right.
We will.
Moving into the next story. I haven't seen anybody really report on this, which does surprise me a bit. I don't know if it's just because Xbox, a lot of Xbox dominated media doesn't want to talk about Xbox bad news, but Xbox have raised their prices in India, and this isn't news they got any mainstream traction. And this just really surprises me for a number of reasons, especially because we just had Phil talking about how they're gonna hold prices for the holidays.
Yeah.
I know India is not a big market for Xbox. There's a 10-1 PlayStation dominance there, so really, really not doing well in India.
Yeah.
And to me, this is kind of just like throwing in the towel. There's been a 12% increase in price on consoles. Accessories have gone up as well. Yeah, that's right. And it I think even Phil has publicly spoken about emerging markets and being interested in collaboration with studios that, like, particularly in India, which is like an emerging market for gaming. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's just for now they're just throwing in the towel and they're just kind of like, we'll wait until the games are out and then we can get some more traction. But other than we need to be siphoning more money to keep stuff in that market for now.
Yeah, the little that's coming in from it, they just need to raise. Yeah, it definitely seems that way.
Yeah. It's just pretty unfortunate for all the Xbox fans over in India.
Yeah, it's and 12%. It's a pretty hefty increase. That's no small price increase, especially across the board from accessories and consoles and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully, we'll see. Having spoke about the price raise, possible price raises last week, I think we'll see something happen in 2023. I doubt they raise console prices, but considering they've just done it in India, then maybe it isn't off the cards. It's a weird time economically, and it's we all kind of grimaced when PlayStation did it, but maybe it's kind of a sign of the times. I mean, we'll see. I do think it would be an unpopular decision. From me, in the same way that we criticize PlayStation's move, we'll criticize Xbox doing that, but we expect that some things will shift, and some, like Game Pass going up by a couple of quid is not comparable, and I think we all agree that that's absurd value anyway. So maybe you would have a problem with that happening once the first party carpet starts rolling out.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. Yeah.
Okay. Next up, and a weird little thing that Microsoft has done with their money, gone a bit too loose and fast, is that Microsoft have invested in an Asian game company called WeMade. I've never heard of this company until this happened. And
Yeah.
I think this is kind of sus, I'm not going to lie, because the company focuses on PC, phones, and blockchain games.
Oh, but didn't you just buy like
Oh,
one of the
no.
biggest in that area anyway? No.
For
Oh,
PC and phones.
yeah. I mean, well, no. I mean, the Blizz Activision deal has like like Candy Crush and stuff like that. But wait, does it?
Well, King is still massive.
King, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's it. King, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, seems like they're investing heavily into mobile.
Mm. I mean, we can all hope here that the investment isn't for blockchain and it is for the PC and phones. Maybe they're looking for a
I hope so.
partnership and like, who knows, maybe there's some expertise they're trying to lend. We'll see what they do with phones. It's not for us, I don't think, barring some extreme outliers like, Hearthstone. We had a good time with. Have you played Marvel Snap yet?
Marvel Snap? No, I haven't. No. Any good?
I haven't either. I've heard it's really good.
Yeah, I've heard.
I've
good
heard
things.
really positive things.
Yeah, I have heard positive things as well. And I've seen it pop up on a few of my my YouTube feeds, some people playing it that like used to be like Hearthstone YouTubers, and they're sort of playing it for their channel and stuff like that. Definitely looks interesting, that's for sure. Yeah, might give it a go.
But yeah, like this is another thing, right? Because Xbox have, or Microsoft even. Well, I think Phil has. Hopefully, I'm not misquoting, but they've been pretty public about disliking the blockchain right now and NFTs in the metaverse. And I really hope that's not all just lip service, because this exchange is a little bit suspicious. But maybe there is some more. There's some R&D going on behind the curtains, essentially, because we have spoken about like the benefits of blockchain, right? That kind of idea that you kind of can carry your cosmetics between games and you own them. And I think everyone can make sense of a possible benefit there. It's just all the downsides that come with it, like hyper monetization and
exactly,
and environmental damage, things like that.
It isn't worth the trade-offs.
Yeah, by all means, look into it. But if you're going to pull this trigger, make sure everything's lined up. And not that I think it is to do with blockchain. It's just a bit surprising.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, it's definitely touchy. Bringing that sort of stuff into the gaming industry. So if you're going to do it, sit on it for a while, and you get make sure it's where it needs to be. Otherwise, that shit's gonna backfire real hard. You have to be careful with that. That's quite a volatile thing. So, but yeah, hopefully it's just to do with PC and mobile, and their expertise in that area. But
yeah. All right. We have a Halo segment. Tim,
whoa.
Have you heard much about? We've got winter update this to tomorrow. I think it is. It's November 7th. I think
This tomorrow.
Maybe November 8th. It's either tomorrow or Tuesday. I can't remember. Yeah. Heard much about it at all? Have you been tracking this at all? Seen anything?
I haven't been tracking it myself.
What's your vibe?
When you you ping me things here and there about it, and I give it a quick little read and stuff like that, but I've kind of dropped off tracking Halo, if I'm honest. But from what I hear, it's exciting. There's a lot coming. The biggest one for me is kind of Forge. So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, it's all kind of exciting. I mean, stuff like the match XP and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that kind of should have been in there already. I'm not that excited for stuff like that. Personally, some sandbox like rebalancing and stuff like that. That can get me pretty excited. And Forge, obviously. So yeah, I don't know. But you know more about this, so feel free to you take the lead on this one.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think we have to be careful when we're. Yeah, you are right to a degree. Like, I don't think nobody's coming back to Halo because there's now match XP. You know, where you earn based on performance and winning. You know, those are great things for sure. But nobody's coming back for it, and you know, I can't blame anybody for thinking, you know, should have been there at launch. But nonetheless, these are, you know, I'm going to be honest. Like, we're playing Overwatch 2 a lot at the moment. I don't think we're getting any changes like this for years. You know, if you look at how quickly Halo put credits in their battle pass, adjusted the shop prices, reworked the challenge system. It will have taken 1 year at this point to have everything ironed out. But I'm glad it's there, and that's way more responsive and reactive than a lot of bigger devs in the free to play space will ever be. But you're totally right. Yeah, that's not enough to bring someone back. Coming along with it is apparently ray tracing as well, according to AMD. Forge, co-op, 2 maps, a couple of modes, I believe, a couple of playlist changes, a free 30-tier battle pass, which again doesn't expire. That includes a lot of stuff that was missing from the Reach, the Season 1 battle pass. They're revamping the challenge system, right? So they're taking it down from 20 a week to 10, and they're all going to be playlist agnostic. You're not going to be forced into playlists.
That's good.
And they'll only, like I said, only be 10 a week, so that the weekly ultimates are more achievable. Weapon balancing, from just off the top of my head, plasma pistol's got on a buff in terms of its tracking and its damage. What's the little electric pistol called? Disruptor.
Yeah.
Got a small buff in a mag increase. Commando's got a little bit of buff in terms of bullet magnetism. I don't think it's got a change in damage, bullet magnetism, and something else. Might have been bloom or recoil or something. I can't remember.
Damn.
BR got a slight nerf. Can't remember if there's any others for the guns. Grenades got a slight nerf. I think it was 0.2 of a second delay in the explosives, which I thought was kind of interesting, but
yeah, that's quite a
good
big
shout.
change. Yeah.
Yeah, so some sandbox retooling, which is great. Loads of technical work on desync that is coming and is still ongoing. You know, they've put out so many blog posts in the last few weeks, just detailing the amount of stuff that's kind of gone into this, and that's really reassuring because that makes me think, okay, you know, they've overcome that hump. And while, you know, just like you say, I think at least for the next 6 months, the boat has sailed on Halo multiplayer for me now. You know, that boat has sailed. I'm playing Overwatch now, and you know, we'll see how that goes, but that's where I'm at for now. Yes, I am excited for Forge though. You know, you are going to be able to see like curated custom games and Forge maps. There's no file share in the sense that you can't go onto other people's accounts and see what they've got there.
Yeah,
really not a big deal to me, but you know, I understand that that's a big deal to a lot of people. That's coming in season 3. Yeah, I'm excited for me and for you. By the sounds of it, the biggest part here is Forge, and I think if they market this right, if they really get this beat right, this could be a big deal. People remember what Forge is. You know, people know what that is. And if you have like a 45, 30-second ad, you know, playing on YouTube of just a handful of stuff that people have made, people will boot this back up. I don't doubt that for a second.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's a big deal to a lot of people. Some people exclusively play customs and Forge and stuff like that once the multiplayer got a bit tiresome for them. Or just from the get-go. So it's a big deal to a lot of people, and you're right, you need to market it in this wacky, fun sort of way, to bring people back and hit that nostalgia like right in the head. Don't market it as like a really like intensive tool and you can do all this with it. People can figure that out when they go on it. I'd say market it in the silly, fun, custom games way, like 100%.
Yeah, that's right. And plus, the enthusiasts already know, right? You know, they already know that a lot of people have just been accessing, but like using Forge for months because they've been able to access it in the files. Those people are already on it, right? And you know, so I'm excited to see what will be their day one and in the coming months. You know, like I've always said this about Halo Infinite's Forge, it needs to be it's a mini game generator. that you can get for free because it's in the free-to-play package. And that is incredible. That is incredible. That is, if they pull this off and it's all working fine, that is such a boon for not just Halo, but for Xbox.
Yeah, 100%.
This could have in the same way that when Halo Infinite first came out, it was everywhere. People were sharing clips of like this crazy shit that was going on in the sandbox of like pro plays. We could have a similar thing, the Halo Infinite trending, this game, a small team of 23-year-olds make this game and millions are playing. We could have that on repeat up till Christmas if they stick the landing on Forge and custom games and the accessibility of it here.
Yeah.
So this is really exciting. I'm excited to see what comes out of it. I'll probably have a look when this comes out midweek and just see if there's anything I can download. And I'm sure we'll be able to drag some friends on in the week, or maybe on, it's like a Friday night thing. I'm sure it'll be fun, just as a little thing. So hopefully they're over that hurdle now, and I just hope they stick the landing here. They need all of this news has been a big W for the team, but I just don't want it to get tarnished by a technical error. Forge is crashing. Custom games aren't working. Do you know what I mean? They need a clean W for this launch to really again hit the reset button.
I wouldn't. I'd say it's kind of 50-50 whether or not this actually launches pretty clean. I'm not gonna lie, based on their track record with this game. I want it to be a big W, but I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a coin toss whether or not this will launch as clean as they intended.
Yes,
based on track record, at least.
Yeah, my pattern recognition is definitely in scared mode. And co-op as well, obviously. Co-op is there with some new achievements, 4-player co-op online, everything. So Tim, you hit me up when you want to revisit, and I will be there for you.
Yeah, man. All right, I will. 2025 it is.
Let's go.
Save the date.
We'll do it before the campaign DLC comes out or whatever comes next.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. All right, last story for today. Damn it, I forgot to ask. If you're still here, guys, like button, please. Like button, please. I need you to just put it on my notes. Yeah, hit the like button, please. We'd really appreciate it. Helps the channel. Consider subscribing if you're new here. If you're listening on podcasts, consider giving us a rating or coming over to the YouTube channel and subscribing. It really helps us out. We're experiencing a lot of slow growth at the moment, and that's okay. It just really helps us out.
Yeah.
So, last story is that supposedly, if you follow that link, which I wonder if you can. I don't think you can share it, actually. It's not worth the risk. But you follow it just to have a look yourself, Tim. Is that Kojima's next game, Overdose, which we've heard about before, leaks. There's like 2 minutes of gameplay. There's a naked bloke in the reflection. Like you can see nipples and everything. It's so fucking funny. Yeah. And we aren't sure what this is yet. It's one of the characters from Death Stranding. We don't know if this is just like a technical pitch or if this is like legitimate gameplay. We don't know if this is Xbox's game. We don't know if this is like Death Stranding 2 or a different game. There, at some point in the video, there seems to be like a quick time event sort of thing where like there was a circle when it with an outline of a circle and it started small and went big into the outline, and it looked like a quick like tap this before something happens sort of thing. Tap being the key word.
Interesting.
We know, well, supposedly we know Kojima's making a game with Xbox. The rumors are that he's making a cloud-focused game, and this really looks like that.
Based on like
we don't. Yeah, that's right. And that it doesn't look all that exciting from the leaked footage, to be honest with you. And I guess this is what we need to think about, really, because it's so hard to even envision. Like even when we spoke about this like a year ago, what is a cloud game? What does that mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Anything could be a cloud game. How
do I tap my screen if I'm playing this on console? Is it cloud only? Like just for phones only?
I don't know.
But I can stream to my Xbox.
I'm just watching.
It could just
the
be
leaked
that
gameplay
it's
right now, by the way.
yeah. It could just be that it is kind of like Resident Evil in style, like old school Resident Evil in style with like point and click elements. And that's kind of the idea that Kojima wants to follow up on and kind of evolve a little bit. It's very Kojima. It's very Kojima.
Yeah, definitely Kojima vibes, 100%. Yeah, it's giving off this sort of almost similar vibe to those sort of narrative games that you see, like The Quarry and all that sort of stuff. These sort of, you know what I mean? These sort of narrative driven games where you kind of just like play a movie essentially. It kind of looks like that, but obviously it looks like he's going for his horror vibe. Again, hashtag
definitely
ET2.
Yeah, that's right. When you're ready.
Yeah. It looks interesting. Yeah, it's hard to get excited about it from this footage, but it looks interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like much going on here from a gameplay perspective, I'm going to be honest.
Well, that's what I mean. We don't know what it is we're looking at. We don't know if this is like early alpha gameplay. We don't know if this is just like a technical pitch. Like this might just be a vertical slice. Do you know what I mean? This could be like early. Like the game's not coming out for another 4 years because full development hasn't really started yet. But like this is how we want to leverage cloud to make this sort of game. We know very little, and the trailer gives very little away. But yeah,
guy right at the end.
What are you giggling at?
The guy at the end is recording.
Oh, you saw him in the reflection.
Yeah, just the reflection of his just like half naked ass body. Just recording it off his phone in a t-shirt without a t-shirt on.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, what Joaquin said in the trailer, he's slapping it to the trailer. Slapping the monkey.
It looks interesting. I think from what we saw, this definitely looks like that cloud-based game more so than anything else.
It does.
That's the sort of vibe I'm getting from it. But yeah, not massively buzzing from it. I'm not gonna lie.
No, like I said, don't know. I think that the exact same thing happened with Death Stranding. Like up until like the last week, everybody said that. Everybody was like, I don't know what this is. It doesn't make sense to me. And then the last week they started to show a couple more trailers, and I was like, oh, okay, I can see the angle. I still, it was only really when people started getting hands on it that they were like, oh, actually, there's a lot to enjoy here. Not for everyone, obviously, but I expect this will be the same. And also, Overdose is just a very cool game name.
Yeah, does seem kind of cool. It makes you think when it will be like a horror based on like hallucinogenic
addiction
vibes and stuff like that, and almost like kind of like sleep paralysis vibes. Fight your demons, but you're all drugged up. Could be kind of cool.
Yeah, we'll see. But I would put my money on that being Xbox's game. Yeah, that's the real speculation. I'll be looking at Xbox's Kojima game there, and I would say tentatively yes. But there's just so little to go by that it's hard to speculate beyond that.
Yes, agreed.
But that's it. That's the show. We did it.
Show over? No.
Maybe. I wish like other podcasts do like a Q&A section at the end, but they take the questions beforehand. Maybe we should start doing that. Maybe we'll do that when we get to 50 subs. People can
oh my God.
tweet questions for the show, and then we can do a quick Q&A afterwards.
Yeah. Well, anyone here, you know what to do. You gotta tweet out our socials and our videos, and if we get to 50 subs, then we'll bring in a Q&A section. I'm looking at you, Joaquin. You can put in a little bit more effort in terms of advertising us. No, I'm kidding. It's great to have you around.
If you can make another 11 accounts and
Yeah.
subscribe, that'd be awesome.
And my man says he always slaps the like button as well.
He's a legend.
We
A
love
true
you.
legend among men.
Yeah, we love
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Top bloke. Okay, Tim, let's jingle and let's get out of here.
Yeah, we're jingling. We're jingling, bro.
Great. Okay, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us today through the show. We actually rounded out a bit earlier than I thought we would. That's good. Sub 2 hours. That's always what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know. Did you like it here? You know, come follow us on Twitter. Did you got any feedback? You know,
I've got
things
feedback.
like that. Are we? Should we do our hair differently? Oh yeah. What? Why?
That way, don't wear your Christmas jumper until December. Get fucked, mate. Man busted out his Christmas attire November 1st.
What happens if I turn my camera off? Do I disappear?
Yeah, you would disappear.
Stand to be around this prick.
It's two of me! Let's go! The podcast of dreams! There's two of me right now. Oh.
I can't believe you. I can't believe it. I can't believe you say that to me live. It doesn't matter. Let's get out of here. Bye, everyone. Thanks so
Bye.
much. Catch you next week.
All right.
Probably.
Probably.
Bye.